Okay, welcome back, everybody. Let's talk about the death of former NHL Hall of Fame goaltender Glenn Hall, who was murdered at age 94. No doubt he was. He's from Humboldt, Saskatchewan, which should immediately set off some red flags and let you should immediately know that this is connected to the Humboldt Broncos bus crash back in 2018 on April 6th. So Glenn Hall, who played for the St. Louis Blues, Chicago Blackhawks, and Detroit Red Wings, he died at age 94. And he died 96 days after his birthday, which is October 3rd. That's the day leaving 89 days left in the year. And remember, it's 89 days from the day he died to the upcoming 8-year anniversary of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. And what's so interesting about that is they were traveling on that day when the bus crash occurred. They were traveling to play a team called the Hawks, like how Glenn Hall is known predominantly for playing with the Chicago Blackhawks, winning 2 Stanley Cups there, the last coming in 1961, which was the last cup they won until 2010. And of course, he's dead 67 years after winning his last Stanley Cup. We don't even need to talk about that. Everything with the NHL comes back to 67. Remember, human sacrifice, blood sacrifice, they both sum to 67. Hockey is 67. The NHL expansion happened in 67. Gary Bruce Bettman is 67. Frederick Stanley, who the Stanley Cup's named after, died at age 67. Anyway, so notice how they call Glenn Hall. They call him Mr. Goalie, right? Notice Mr. Goalie is 46, just like Chicago. Right, the crash happens on 4/6, April 6th. And of course, on the day he died, the Blackhawks played the St. Louis Blues, right? We don't even need to go any further on that. Obviously, the 2 teams that he played for, they both happened to play on the day he dies, right? Another one of those coincidences. So what's interesting about this, here's where we know that this death is happening right as the NFL playoffs are about to start on Saturday, right? And this death is connected to the Humboldt Broncos. And of course, there's a football team called the Broncos that play in Denver. And I want you to remember that the bus crash was on a date that can be written 6/4, and he died on a date that can be written 7/1. My thesis or my theory on why they do this is because in North America, we write the date, we put the day, we put the month in front of the day. In other countries, they put the day in front of the month. So I think the reason they do that is because in America, if you say, well, the date, April 6th can be written 6/4 and January 1st can be written 7/1, they think you're a nutcase. And vice versa if you're in the UK or Australia. Usually the dates that are written the American way are the key dates in Australia and the UK, and the dates written the European way are the key dates in the US, so people don't catch on to it as easily. That's what what I think they do with this. So I just want you to look at the gematria of Denver Broncos, right? Notice they got the 154 like Levi's Stadium. That's where the Super Bowl's at. Remember, the Broncos won Super Bowl 50 in Levi's Stadium. Now, does that mean that every time Denver plays or every time the Super Bowl is in Levi's Stadium, the Broncos are going to be there? Of course not. But it is interesting. Denver Broncos has the 64, like the date of the bus crash. They have the 71, like the date of Glenn Hall's death. Of course, Levi Stadium has a 154 and the 46. Now, check this out. What's interesting about the history between the Broncos and the Rams is if you don't count their history as the St. Louis Rams, Denver, if they win the Super Bowl over LA, they could get to 4-6 in against the Rams all time in Levi Stadium. The Broncos, the Rams could fall to 6-4 in Levi Stadium against the Broncos. Denver Broncos, Humboldt Broncos, both 64. It's interesting because if you go back to Super Bowl 53 and you look at the Rams versus the Patriots, the Patriots and Rams, when the Patriots won that game, it was either the Rams or the Patriots. One of them fell to 5-3 versus the other during Super Bowl 53. I don't know if it was the Rams that fell to 5-3 versus the Patriots, and this is not including their time as the St. Louis Rams. You know what? Let's just look it up real fast. Let's pull it up. I just want to see this for myself real fast. the all-time history, because I know Super Bowl 53, somebody became 5-3 versus the other. So let's go New England Patriots versus the Los Angeles Rams. And again, don't count the history as St. Louis. So let's see, the Patriots were 1-0, they were 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 3-3. Or wait. Yeah, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3. Yeah, see, they became 5-3 versus the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 53. So, could history repeat itself there? We'll see. I mean, the Rams are huge favorites against the Panthers in the opening round of the playoffs. So, obviously, if they get upset, this goes out the window. But it is interesting that from January 7th to February 8th is exactly 32 days, right? He's dead 32 days before the Super Bowl. Again, Denver 32, Broncos 32. They won Super Bowl 32. He's dead at age 94. Denver is 94. And then some other gematria parallels, Humboldt Broncos 80, Levi Stadium 80, Mr. Goalie is 80, Broncos and Glenn Hall are both 80, Super Bowl and Glenn Hall are both 41. So, yeah, there's some parallels there. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. In light of this being a hockey narrative, let's just see what is I just want to see what is the Denver Pioneers what's their record? I just want to see this for a second. Denver Pioneers ranked 7th in the nation. Okay, let's just check their schedule here. They're 12. What are they? 12, 7, and 2. Okay, who do they play next? Did they play on this date too? I wonder. Huh! Look at that. Their very next game, they play the Western Michigan Broncos, who just won the college hockey tournament. Oh my God, that is great. Hang on. And I got all this shit bookmarked. I got to go back and look at this. NCAA history. We know Western Michigan's won one natty. All right, let's look at this. Western Michigan Broncos. I want to go back to their former season. I know they won it on Pittsburgh Day, April 12th. April 12th is the I call it Pittsburgh Day because Pittsburgh's the 412 area code. April 12th's 412. Like how the Browns just upset the Steelers a few weeks ago to become 4-12 on the season. It's all scripted nonsense. Anyway, Western Michigan Broncos. And they did that on April 12th. They won the national title. They won 34 games. But that's crazy. So they scored exactly. That is nuts. They won that game 6-2, the national championship over Denver. Of course. And look at Denver's goals for and goals against. This is how scripted it is. Enterprise Center, where the game was, which is in St. Louis, which is where the Blues play, which is where Glenn Hall also played. Notice St. Louis Blues in the most pure cipher is 39, 167 is the 39th prime, and the Enterprise Center in the most pure cipher is 86. They score 167 goals and have 86 points. And then Denver gives up their 94, and they score 174 goals by scoring 2 in the national title, and St. Louis Blues in the most simple cipher is 174. That is crazy just how scripted they got all of that. Wow. That is nuts. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Is this foreshadowing for the Super Bowl? I think it very well may. We'll see. We will see. Denver's got a first-round bye. LA's at Carolina, so I believe on Saturday, right? Is that when the Panthers play the Rams? Yeah. Everybody's expecting this to be an ass-whooping, but we'll see. We know the scripted NFL. They like to keep things interesting. All right. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you again.